Today, I'm going to share with you a lab test that every single man who has an experience with an assortment of prostate problems needs. So if you are experiencing BPH or prostatitis or even prostate cancer or have an elevation in your PSA levels, this one single lab test evaluates a hormone that has a massive influence on the state and the health of your prostate gland. And once you zero in on analyzing your value of this hormone, you can transform your prostate health. If you are curious and you're ready to take control of your prostate health, let's dig into today's video. Hi gentlemen, I am Dr. Melissa Gallagher and I am so excited to share with you this critical test of a hormone that is very problematic on the progression of prostate problems. And I'm going to share with you, I'm a naturopathic physician and I really zeroed in on prostate health for gentlemen because when I was a young girl, my grandfather Gallagher had a barbaric several years of dealing with and ultimately succumbing to prostate cancer. And I vowed if I could ever be in a situation where I could help men, then I would do my part to help them, as I wish somebody could have helped my grandpa. So with that being said, I want to share with you the lab test, the hormone that you need to have run at minimum every 6 months is called cortisol. You need to have a cortisol test. And cortisol is a stress hormone. It's a stress hormone that your adrenal glands, these two little tortilla-shaped glands at the top of your kidneys, your adrenals produce cortisol under the influence of stress. And when we say stress, it means all types of stress, not just like emotional stress or mental stress. It means physiological, it means biochemical, it means hormonal stress, it means inflammatory stress. So just by nature of having prostate imbalance, i.e. BPH, an enlarged and inflamed prostate, PSA levels that are high, those all fall in the category of a stressor, and that can trigger cortisol. Then there's all these other things that can trigger cortisol. A lifetime or decades of stress can lead to cortisol overwhelm. So by testing your cortisol, you can get a handle on the hormone that triggers an enzymatic reaction in your body that ends up flooding the prostate with overwhelm. And this enzymatic reaction actually converts your existing testosterone into estrogen. And here's the important part, gentlemen. Your prostate gland is estrogenic receptive, meaning you have an assortment of estrogen receptors in the entire surface and internal area of your prostate gland. This is really critical. The epithelial cells, the stromal cells are highly sensitive and receptive to excesses of estrogen. Assessing cortisol allows us to get a handle on why your body is overwhelmed by estrogen, why maybe your estrogen levels, if you've ever had them tested, are elevated, and why you are experiencing cellular changes to your prostate gland that is triggering a lack of emptying your bladder fully, that is causing you to wake up frequently at night to urinate, that is causing you pain and irritation when you empty your bladder, and could be the cause of your need to have a catheter and can trigger elevations in PSA levels, and ultimately is the reason why you end up suffering through biopsies and an assorted amount of surgeries to splice and dice your prostate gland from inside and outside. And ultimately, cortisol is what we need to get a handle on. And I'm going to tell you, frankly, you are not going to hear your urologist or even your oncologist say, hey, we need to run your cortisol levels, because their model just doesn't dig deeper and it doesn't go holistically, because the adrenal glands tend not to be something that many providers across many modalities assess. But cortisol in your adrenal glands are part of the fight and flight process. It is a natural innate process. Your stress response mechanism gets triggered, and that tends to be where we see a lot of prostate imbalances with gentlemen. So I'm going to share with you, this is what a cortisol test looks like for patients who, in my practice, order these test kits. So the best way to test your cortisol is to take saliva samples. So you get these little vials, usually in a saliva kit, and we will analyze a 4-part panel, analyzing your cortisol over a 24-hour time frame. Ideally, you want to test your cortisol in the morning, at lunch, at dinner, and right before bed. And sometimes we might add a 5th panel if we really need a 2 or 3 a.m. panel. But in general, testing your cortisol where we can see where your levels are throughout the day tells us a lot about the enzymatic reaction that is being triggered by cortisol that's leading to a conversion of estrogen that then is being received by your prostate and causing an inflammatory response. There's actually a lot of newer studies that are analyzing and digging into the estrogenic signaling within the prostate and the influences on both immunomodulation as well as the pro-inflammatory responses that estrogen triggers and influences. We even see estrogen receptors in the epithelial cells and the stomal cells of your prostate gland. And that can alter your prostate cellular function and can trigger inflammation inside the cell itself. That then creates a dysregulation of estrogen signaling, which then compounds the situation, meaning you don't have the right balance of T cells, and we end up getting a proliferation of cells, and there's a lack of modulation in terms of cell differentiation and immune responses. That is all fancy speak for your prostate cells growing and enlarging. And estrogen is a reason behind that, the estrogen receptivity. And what's triggering estrogen receptivity in your body is your specific cortisol levels at any point during the day. So that's why we do a 4-panel test. And if you're interested in a test, I have test kits. I mail these out to patients all the time, and you can take them from all around the world. The lab is here in the US, and the lab, once you send these in, they take about 5 to 7, sometimes 9 business days, depending on if we're falling on holiday and when it's received. But you can get the results back and we can review those and get very targeted. Why I specifically choose to test cortisol for all of my prostate patients is that we can get really tailored and really specific to your body and your body's production of cortisol. There's a lot of different things that I have in my arsenal that I can block cortisol enzymatic reaction. I can even lower cortisol. I can metabolize it, and I can address your overall body stress response mechanism. And in many ways, this changes the way the brain is perceiving stress and inflammatory stressors and immune modulation stressors and all the stressors that are compounding and creating prostate imbalance in your body. I'm really excited to share this information with you. I know that when I talk with my patients and get really specific like I have with you today, it blows their mind, and it also gives them an understanding that there's more control that they have on the state of their prostate cell proliferation and can address the immunomodulation and the pro-inflammatory state currently affecting their prostate gland. This is so important and really powerful. You can both prevent and reverse the state of your prostate health by addressing the estrogenic response, by zeroing in on that root cause, which is cortisol that's triggering the estrogen production in your body. This is significant and it's life-changing. So I hope you'll check out the link in the description box below. I have hundreds of kits ready to ship to each of you who needs this lab test. Don't be surprised if you do talk to your urologist and say, I want to test my cortisol. They might ask you, what is that? Yes, I've heard this happens quite frequently. They might say, okay, no problem. They might give you a script and you end up getting a jug, and then you're asked to give a 24-hour sample of your urine. Urine analysis is not the most accurate way for us to measure cortisol. And that jug that they give you, one, it's absolutely insane. You have to carry the jug with you everywhere you go. It's not realistic. And it gives you only the average of your cortisol in a 24-hour time frame. That is problematic because we cannot get targeted with lowering your cortisol when it's too high or in an elevated state. That's the trick to conquering this underlying issue behind prostate problems and the proliferation of cells that keep enlarging and then cause you issues with urine flow and ultimately cause many gentlemen to undergo unnecessary procedures. So I hope this was helpful. Let me know if you have any specific questions down below. If you found this video helpful, I also have a trademarked program that details my trademark protocol, and it is my Prostate Fix Masterclass. I'm going to invite you to enroll in that. It's on demand, so you could access it immediately and watch the content and download all the materials necessary and get kicked off on your way to healing your prostate. I address this in the masterclass, as well as a whole bunch of other things and recommendations and diet and lifestyle and therapeutics that you can deploy to combat stress and to lower cortisol and to really get a handle on your prostate health. You're in the driver's seat. I know it doesn't feel like that, but I hope you understand that there's more transformation that your prostate is capable of on the good side of healing, and we can tap into that by going deeper. This is the kit we use. There'll be a link down in the description box below. And I really do hope that you take the masterclass and let's get your cortisol tested. And I am here to be a resource for you. I just want to prevent so many more scenarios of Grandpa Gallagher's out there. It's just not necessary. And unfortunately, the barbaric state of prostate health has not changed in now almost 40 years. So let's make that change. Let's go deeper. And I'm excited to be on your wellness journey. Thanks for tuning in. I'll include my playlist for other prostate health related videos in the description box below, and I'll see you on my next video.